when you messed up, He's there to pick you back up. Come on. He's not there to kick your behind. He's there to pick you up. Somebody shout, deal with Him. And so when you find out that, you get a concept of that kind of God, you end up treating people by the way you see God. I'll catch this. Well, I wouldn't say that. No, that's why you're not saying it and I am. Because I see the need that it's time to preach God for who He is. Growing up in my childhood, a lot of you all know from the history of my childhood, things how I was raised, and all of you all in here is going to hell, besides Sister Nancy. The rest of you, there ain't no hope for you all. Come on, that's the way I was raised. I'm just telling you. And sorry if some of you all are watching and you're still that way. I can't help it. You need to change. Amen. 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 Shout, deal with it. Shout, deal with it. So growing up in my childhood, Sister Lisa, I grew up, and you know how the background that I grew up in, because it was all similar to somewhat of yours. And I remember growing up that way, and the image of God that we had as young people. Listen, young people, the image that I had growing up your age in the church was a mean, hateful God. And so we grew up. We wasn't allowed to have youth meetings. The youth couldn't. They called it separating from the church. The youth wants to separate from the church and have separate meetings. Come on. Youth needs their time sometimes too. You need your quiet time and alone time. That's why you drive down the road. And that's why you go shopping sometimes and get away from all the house and all the fuss and all the stress. Come on. And so youth needs their times too to come together. That's how they grow. They come together. They fellowship. But in my childhood growing up, I was not allowed to do that. When we started that, when I felt the thing to step up in our church to do that thing, all of a sudden it was blasted. And many of times it was blasted because, not necessarily because of the church that I went to growing up, but because of the people they socialized with. People they hung out with, fellowshiped with. Because if we allow this, so-and-so big-time preacher may not like it. The holiness preacher may not like it. Pentecostal preacher may not like it. That evangelist may not like it. So what? If it's changing lives, let's do it. And so growing up as a child, my image of God was this mean, hateful God. And so by saying that, and so all my life, I would picture God, catch this, I would picture God by how they preached. Come on. How they lived their life, talked every day, told us what we couldn't do, what God wasn't going to allow us to do. Come on. And so they would say many things. And they would say things like, you better watch out, God's going to get you. How many's ever heard that? Just Austin, just Sister Lisa. How many of y'all have ever heard that saying? Come on. The rest of y'all must have grown up Baptist or something. Because Baptists have great beliefs on this doctrine. Come on. Come on, catch this. And the thing is that I grew up all my childhood thinking, every second, God's going to get me. And I was all the time walking around. I'd go to school, see a pretty girl. I was single. I had a right to look. Come on. Come on. I had a right to look at him. Come on. Amen. Thank God. I wish some more young men in America would start looking at girls instead of the boys. Woo! Preach it, preacher, shout, deal with it. Amen. Catch this. And so I grew up thinking every time I made a mistake, come on, don't get religious on me. Think, well, I don't never make no mistakes. I got saved, bless God, I've been perfect all my life. Honey, you just lied. You just messed up. Come on, there's things you just looked at, you should have looked at, things you've erased, things you've said, things, come on. Places you've been, things you took that nobody in your family know it, things they did not go know it, they know it. They know it, come on. And the thing is, here it is, we got a world that has heard a gospel, what they call gospel, and all it has been is condemnation. Yes, you're not going to say it because you're afraid to say amen, but it's the truth. I grew up like this. And I'm not bashing those people. They was in their time. They had their revelation of what little they understood. Mercy and grace covers them. But when I've come to understand who God really is, then I'm not going to allow the skeptics to change what the concept of who I see God is and who I know God is and who I am in God. Come on. Catch it. And they would say, you better watch out. God's going to get you. Come on. Then they'd say, don't know how much more God's going to take of this. Woo. He's punishing you. Anybody's ever heard that one? Well, I'll hit you one way or another. He's punishing you. Car tore up. Oh, that was a good one for them to stand up. Yes, told you, you sinner, you sinning. Your car tore up, the devil tore your car. God had the devil. No, your car tore up because you're too lazy and sorry to pull a dipstick out and check it. Oh, that's why the thing locked up. Devil didn't do it. Come on. Amen. Devil didn't cause your tire to go flat. Quit that garbage. Come on. And they would say, oh, see, you're sinning. Must have sin in your life. And they, oh boy, that just start revival. Hell, it started 6 weeks. Oh, I'm telling you the truth. It would start a 6 weeks revival, and then nobody got saved. No, and all they do for 6 weeks is talk about, oh, the devil's getting you, devil's getting you, devil's getting you, devil's getting you. And so all of us young people growed up thinking God was out to get us.